another one guy's coming right now, so I'm going to tell you the 5-second joke about another synagogue. Just around the corner, there's another very European synagogue. European Jews are often called Ashkenazis. Ashkenaz is the word for it in Germany. And the question is, why do you need one huge European Ashkenazi synagogue here? Another huge one right over there. What's the point? Well, there's an old joke that says they found a Jew abandoned on an island. I'm doing a quick version of it. And after like 2 years of being abandoned on the island, he gets rescued. And they see this guy. It's like the island is like the size of where we are now. And they see 2 huge buildings on the island. And they say, what is this? Well, the Jew responds, this is the synagogue that I go to. This is the synagogue that I would never step foot in. Alright, so yes, they were both Jewish, yes, they were both Ashkenazi Jewish, but they had a big ideological rift, between them. So these guys here, those guys there, kids wouldn't even marry, nothing, talk. What can you do? So guys, it's time to go now to the Western Wall. So let's stay together. This is where it's going to get very busy with a lot of groups from that area on. I don't know where I would find it. Welcome to the area of the Western Wall and the Temple Mount. At this stop here, I would like to talk just about the Temple Mount itself, traditions involving it, and especially the Muslim connection to Jerusalem. The big golden dome is the Dome of the Rock. It is not a mosque, it is a shrine covering the foundation stone. The black dome is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. It is the mosque up here. There's actually 2 other ones, don't worry about it. That is the big famous mosque up here. What is the Temple Mount? Why do I call it that? How do we get there? Guys, for Jewish people, this is the holiest place in the world. That is where in Jewish tradition, the world began. They call it the foundation stone, means the foundation of the world. Right? Where God created the first human being, Adam, right? It's also the place where we believe that Abraham came to sacrifice Isaac, up there. It is the place where King Solomon is going to build the first Jewish temple, and where God, in Jewish belief, decided to inhabit that, something that's infinite, to also become finite in a certain place, and to give access to human beings. Kind of like the belly button of the world, in a sense. Alright? That is why the place is so important to the Jewish people. And keep something in mind, when we talk about temples, this is not Buddhist temples, this is not Hindu temples, this is not Roman and Greek temples to every different god. For the Jewish people, there's one temple and that's it. Alright? When the Muslims come, they're going to rebuild the Temple Mount and put those 2 beautiful buildings on top. But the question goes, why? What is the Muslim connection to Jerusalem? And it's a fair question. If I look at the Hebrew Bible, Jewish Bible, Jerusalem is mentioned 669 times, plus 154 times as Zion. In the New Testament, Jerusalem is mentioned 142 times. In the Quran, Jerusalem is not mentioned once. So, what's the connection? Why did they put it up? These things up there? Well, guys, I'm going to tell you the story that if you ask any Muslim what the connection is, right? Why they're here, that's what the Muslim will answer. Okay? That being said, there's probably a bunch more truer answers because that story only came into place to be put to Jerusalem 200 years after these buildings were built. And this is the theological basis for them being there. Guys, yes, Jerusalem is not mentioned in the Quran, but in chapter 17 of the Quran, we have a story of Muhammad, the main prophet of Islam, going on a night journey from Mecca to which is called the first mosque, to the furthest mosque. Just says the furthest mosque, we don't know where, but the furthest mosque in Arabic is Al-Aqsa, the edge, the furthest. And this mosque here is called, named after that, Al-Aqsa. It says the angel Gabriel took him. It brought him to the Temple Mount, to the area of the foundation stone. He came on his winged horse Al-Burak, lightning. He's going to come on his winged horse Al-Burak. He's going to arrive on the Temple Mount, right? He's going to lift up in the air from the foundation stone. In fact, there is a footprint there. If you wore a size 28 shoe in American, I guess it's probably like 60 something in European, right? Pretty big. On his way up in there, he's going to meet God. And he's going to talk to God. And he is going to find out two very important things for the Muslim religion. Number one, he has to pray 500 times a day. Number two, no alcohol. On his way down, Muhammad's going to run into Moses, who's also a prophet in Islam. Right? And Moses is going to be like, hey, yo, Muhammad, how'd you do? How'd it go with the big guy? Right? Muhammad's going to be like, hey, man, you know, not too bad. I got 500 times a day of prayer and no alcohol. Right? Moses is going to look at him like, oh, man, shaking his head. Muhammad, you got to learn how to negotiate. All right, let me teach you something. Sends him right back up to God, gets up to God, renegotiates the contract, knocks it down to 5 times a day, but he was so happy about that he forgot to ask him about the alcohol. And so, unfortunately, there's for Muslims, there's no drinking alcohol, and they pray 5 times a day. That story is embedded, supposedly comes from here, from Jerusalem, of course. He's going to come down from his visit with God. He's going to come down the area of what today is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. He is going to pray before he leaves. He's going to go get his horse Al-Burak that he tied on the southern wall, and he's going to pick him up and he's going to head back to the plains of Arabia. Like I said, guys, it's not really the story about why they were built. It's a theological basis for the buildings up there. The buildings are the Dome of the Rock, built in 687 and 692 AD. All right, about 1400 years ago, the first monumental shrine in Islam. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, built about 20 years later. Okay, that is the place of prayer. Understand something? Who built them? Something else I'll tell everyone now. That we usually tell in the paid tour. Guys, these are a bunch of nomads. Right, living in tents mostly. Not all of them, but many of them, right? How are they going to build something like that? Right? Truth is, guys, they don't build it. They use Byzantine Christian artisans to build the Dome of the Rock of the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Alright? And if you look at it, it's actually much like Christian architecture. It's like taking parts of a church and splitting them up. The Dome of the Rock is the rotunda. It's the round dome where you walk around something very important. This goes back to Roman architecture. It's no accident that the diameter of the Dome of the Rock and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre are exactly the same. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is the basilica. Okay, much like an ancient Roman basilica. Main central aisle, a couple more as well. And the whole outside gardens are the atrium. Okay, this looks like a Byzantine church, just in different sections. Right, little single fact, like I said, in depth. Guys, we're going to head down now to the western wall itself.